Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, and welcome to the Sri Vidya Temple's class on chanting, Vedas, and Sanskrit stotras. In today's class, we're going to be focusing on the Ganapati Atharvashirsham, which is also known as Ganapati Upanishad. This is a very beautiful Upanishad on Ganapati and his nature and a lot of philosophy. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do it now, we've been wanting to do this for some time and people have requested it. But in just a few days, this Wednesday, there's going to be the groundbreaking ceremony for the first phase of the Granite Temple. And so this is actually going to be for the Ganapati Sannidhi. So I thought this is a really nice time to start our study of this particular Upanishad. So let me set the Shruti. And we'll start with Ganapati prayer. Om Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Viknopashantaye. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to start with is actually a Shanti prayer, which comes before the Ganapati Atharvashirsham. So in the Vedas, many Upanishads and some suktas as well will often start with a Shanti prayer. So this Shanti prayer that starts Bhadram Karnebhihi will actually appear in front of other texts as well. It's not unique to this particular Upanishad, but we'll start with that. So Sriji, if you want to unmute yourself and repeat the lines. Om Bhadrang Karnebhish.
Om Bhadrang Karnebhish. Om Bhadrang Karnebhish.
Shrunoyama Devaha.
Shrunuyama Devaha. Shrunuyama Devaha.
Om Bhadrang Karnebhish Shrunoyama Devaha.
Om Bhadrang Karnebhish Shrunuyama Devaha. Om Bhadrang Karnebhish Shrunuyama Devaha.
Bhadram Pashye.
Bhadram Pashye. Bhadram Pashye.
Makshabhirya Jatraha.
Makshabhiryajatraha. Makshabhiryajatraha.
Bhadram Pashye Makshabhirya Jatraha.
Bhadram Pashye Makshabhiryajatraha. Bhadram Pashye Makshabhiryajatraha.
Sthirairangais.
Thirairangais. Thirairangais.
Stushtovagum sastanubhihi.
Tushtuvagum sastanubhihi. Tushtuvagum sastanubhihi.
Sthirairangais tovagum sastanubhihi
स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुभागुं सस्तनूभिः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुभागुं सस्तनूभिः
vyashema devahitam
व्यशेम देवहितं व्यशेम देवहितं
yadayuhu
यदायुः यदायुः
vyashema devahitam yadayuhu
व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः
swasti na indro
स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो
vruddhashravaha
वृद्धश्रवाः वृद्धश्रवाः
स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः
स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः
स्वस्ति नः पूषा
स्वस्ति नः पूषा स्वस्ति नः पूषा
विश्ववेदाः
विश्ववेदाः विश्ववेदाः
स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः
स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः
स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो
स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो
अरिष्टनेमिः
अरिष्टनेमिः अरिष्टनेमिः
स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः
स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः.
And so here in this line, notice the small gap between the O and then arishta. Nastarksho arishtanemihi. So just mind that gap. Next line. Swasti no brahaspatir
स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर् स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्
Swasti no brahaspatir dadhatu
स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु
Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi.
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.
Okay, so I'm going to repeat the whole Shanti prayer. And then Sriji can repeat it 2 times. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I'll just chant it through so that everyone can hear what it sounds like. Om Bhadrang Karnebhih Shrunuyama Devah Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatrah Sthirairangai sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vruddhashravah Swasti nः Pusha Vishwavedaः Swasti nastarkshyo Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatirdadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi.
ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः.
So this is a very beautiful prayer asking that we should hear with our ears that which is auspicious. We should see with our eyes whatever is auspicious. And our body should be very strong and steadfast so that we can do worship and do all the noble activities. And then there are some prayers asking Indra for his blessings and the sun god and different forms of divinity and sort of natural divine forces for their blessings for us. Okay, so now we start with the main part of Ganapati Atharvashirsham. So very often in the temple, we'll just start out with Namaste Ganapataye. But a lot of people will add in the beginning Om Lam. So Chalakere brothers chant that way. And also Ramesh Natarajan Aya also chants that way as well. So this Lam Bijakshara, why that's added in, if you think about it, that Lam Bijakshara is the Bija mantra for the Mooladhara Chakra. And that's where Ganapati is established. So that Lam sound, Lam Bija, is very strongly connected with Ganapati. So this is immediately bringing your attention to Ganapati's form in the Mooladhara Chakra. And also Lam corresponds to the the Prithvi Tattvam, the element of earth, which exists in our bodies as well. And that's something that he's associated with too. Om Lam Namaste Ganapataye.
Om Lam Namaste Ganapataye. Om Lam Namaste Ganapataye.
Tvameva Pratyaksham.
Tvameva Pratyaksham. Tvameva Pratyaksham.
Tattvamasi.
Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi.
Tvameva Pratyaksham Tattvamasi.
Tvameva pratyaksham tattvamasi. Tvameva pratyaksham tattvamasi.
So some of you may be very familiar with chanting, or you might be new to Vedic chanting. So if there's anything you hear that sounds confusing, or you're not sure why we're chanting it that way, or you just want more clarification, feel free to ask a question in the chat, and then I can review that particular thing. But otherwise, we'll just go on. त्वमेव केवलम्
Tvameva kevalam. Tvameva kevalam.
कर्तासि
Kartasi. Kartasi.
त्वमेव केवलं कर्तासि
Tvameva kevalam kartasi. Tvameva kevalam kartasi.
त्वमेव केवलम्
Tvameva kevalam. Tvameva kevalam.
धर्तासि
Dhartasi. Dhartasi.
त्वमेव केवलं धर्तासि
Tvameva kevalam dhartasi. Tvameva kevalam dhartasi.
So I see a question someone's sending to me. Is there going to be Devi Mahatmyam practice in this session? So not in this session. Normally we do the Devi Mahatmyam classes on Wednesdays and Saturdays. But as I mentioned in the Telegram learning group, we're taking a small break from Devi Mahatmyam because we finished chapter 9. And so we're taking that break to study Ganapati Atharvashirsham. So that's what we'll be focusing on in this session. And then it'll probably take us 2 to 3 classes. So by the time we finish this, then we'll go back to Devi Mahatmyam, and I'll announce that in the Telegram group when we're doing that. Okay, so Vidhartasi. So now I'm going to go to the beginning and review the lines that we've done. Om Lam Namaste Ganapataye Tvameva Pratyaksham Tattvamasi Tvameva Kevalam Kartasi Tvameva Kevalam Dhartasi. Okay, so next line. त्वमेव केवलम्
Tvameva kevalam. Tvameva kevalam.
हर्तासि
Hartasi. Hartasi.
त्वमेव केवलं हर्तासि
त्वमेव केवलं हर्तासि त्वमेव केवलं हर्तासि
त्वमेव सर्वं
त्वमेव सर्वं त्वमेव सर्वं
खल्विदं ब्रह्मासि
खल्वेदं ब्रह्मासि खल्वेदं ब्रह्मासि
त्वमेव सर्वं खल्विदं ब्रह्मासि
त्वमेव सर्वं खल्विदं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव सर्वं खल्विदं ब्रह्मासि
त्वं साक्षादात्मासि
त्वं साक्षातात्मासि त्वं साक्षातात्मासि
I missed that swara when I chanted. Tvam sakshadatmasi.
त्वं साक्षादात्मासि त्वं साक्षादात्मासि
Nityam.
नित्यं नित्यं
Tvam sakshadatmasi nityam.
त्वं साक्षादात्मासि नित्यं त्वं साक्षादात्मासि नित्यम्
So now I'll go back to the line where I left off and chant the last four as a review. त्वमेव केवलं हर्तासि त्वमेव केवलं हर्तासि त्वमेव सर्वं खल्विदं ब्रह्मासि त्वं साक्षादात्मासि नित्यम्. Okay, so that's the first section. And the next one is very short. So these sections, like every time where you see like a 1 or a 2 or a 3, that's actually where we would typically say swaha during homa and offer some ghee. So the Upanishad is broken into little sections like this. So wherever there's a number, that's where we would say swaha. Ritam vachmi.
ऋतं वच्मि ऋतं वच्मि
Satyam vachmi.
सत्यं वच्मि सत्यं वच्मि
Ritam vachmi. Satyam vachmi.
ऋतं वच्मि सत्यं वच्मि
So in the first section, there are a series of statements about Ganapati, basically saying to him, "Oh Ganapati, you are the divine reality made manifest that we can see with our eyes. You are like your form is the divine reality. You are the one who is creating. You are the one who is sustaining. And you are the one who is dissolving or destroying everything. You are everything that exists and the entire Brahman, the entire divine reality." And then Ritam Vachmi, Satyam Vachmi essentially is saying, like the Rishi is saying, I'm speaking truth. What I'm saying is for real. It's not like a casual thing. I'm speaking according to truth and according to the divine order. So that is like the Rishi's promise to us in a sense. So there's a question for Anuswara, which sounds change to a ng sound? Is it only before the ka? So in the first section, so in pratyaksham, that Anuswara will be like na sound because ta follows. So it's like pratyakshan tattvamasi. Then in the next line, like you mentioned, it will be a ng sound in front of the ka. Kevalang kartasi. In the next one, because dha is following Anuswara, it'll again be like a na sound. Kevalan dhartasi. Next, in front of ha, here in this, it will be like a regular ma sound. Kevalam hartasi. In the next line, we have two anuswaras. So in the first case, in front of ka, it'll be the nga sound. Sarvang kalvidam. And then in the next case, because ba in brahmhasi is following, it'll be like a regular ma sound. Kalvidam brahmhasi. And then finally, in front of sa, it'll be like a regular ma sound. Tvam sakshad. Tvam sakshad. Okay, is that clear? So if not, you can, okay. Sounds good. All right. So going on to the third one. Avatvam mam.
Avatvam mam. Avatvam mam.
Avavaktaram.
Avavaktaram. Avavaktaram.
Avashrotaram.
Avashrotaram. Avashrotaram.
Avadataram.
Avadataram. Avadataram.
Avadhataram.
Avadhataram. Avadhataram.
So here notice that in the first case we have dataram and then next comes dhataram. So it's not the same thing, it's two different things. The difference is da is the regular sound and dha is the mahaprana. So it's a completely different sound or different word. That's why it's important to pronounce the mahapranas correctly and differently from the regular sounds. Because otherwise the meaning won't be there. So dataram is like the one who's giving. Dhataram is like the one who is sustaining. So it's a different meaning. And another thing that's interesting is you'll see this double swara or double note, that little sort of like quotation marks above the M sound in all of these. So here the double swara is on the sound. And so I was watching the one video of Chalakere brothers giving a class in this Upanishad, and I'll provide the link to that because it's really interesting to see, and I really recommend watching that. One of the things that that he paused to specifically point out and talk about is that when you have this double swara on the M sound, you don't want to sort of slide the sound. So you don't want it to be like Vaktaram, or you don't want to have like a little flourish like Vaktaram. It's a very clear and precise shift from one note and then to the next note. And there's kind of a little pause almost or gap to make sure that you're not sliding up. It's a very clear first note, then second note. Vaktaram. mm. Okay, so hopefully you can hear the difference, but if you watch that video, um, he'll explain it. And for the first half of that video, there are English subtitles because he's actually explaining, I think, in Kannada. So at least that part will be explained. Then unfortunately, the second half of the video, they kind of gave up on the English subtitles. So you have to sort of try to guess what he's explaining. But yeah, so the first half, there are subtitles, fortunately. So I just wanted to point that out because I thought it was interesting that he took the time to explain that. Okay, so now going on to the next one. Avanuchanamava
avanuchanamava avanuchanamava
Shishyam
shishyam shishyam
Avanuchanamava Shishyam
avanuchanamava shishyam avanuchanamava shishyam.
So in this third section up to now, this is essentially a prayer to Ganapati saying, please protect me, please give your favor to me. First is to me, and then is give your protection to the one who is speaking, and give your protection to the one who is also listening, to the one who is giving, to the one who is sustaining. Give your protection to the one who is like repeating these lessons, so to the students who are learning this. And then starting from Avapashchattaat, the request is give your protection from all the directions. Like, I don't recall the specific ones, but from the north or the east, the south, the west, from above and from below. So all the directions are being mentioned and asking for protection from all those directions. Avapashchattaat
avapashchattaat avapashchattaat.
And here, notice the holding on atta, atta. So you don't want to gloss over that and say it like paschchatat, paschchatat. And then again, in this double swara on the ah sound, notice how there's a small gap. So it's very clearly one note and then the next. Paschchatat. Okay.
Paschataat, paschataat,
Now the next line. Avapurastaat.
avapurastaat, avapurastaat,
Avottarattaat.
avottarattaat, avottarattaat,
Avadakshinattaat.
avadakshinataat, avadakshinataat,
Avachordhvattaat.
avachordhataat, avachordhataat,
Avadharattaat.
avadharattaat, avadharattaat,
Sarvato mam pahi pahi samantat.
सर्वतो मां पाहि पाहि समन्तात् सर्वतो मां पाहि पाहि समन्तात्.
So now I'll go back to the beginning and chant the whole section once through, and then Suji can repeat it. Avatvam mam avavaktaram avashrotaram avadataram avadhataram avanochanamavashishyam avapashchatat avapurastat avottaratat avadakshinatat avachordhvatat avadharatat sarvato mam pahi pahi samantat.
अवत्वं माम् अववक्तारम् अवश्रोतारम् अवदातारम् अवधातारम् अवानुचानमवशिष्यम् अवपश्चात्तात् अवपुरस्तात् अवोत्तरात्तात् अवदक्षिणात्तात् अवचोर्ध्वात्तात् अवाधरात्तात् सर्वतो मां पाहि पाहि समन्तात्. अवत्वं माम् अववक्तारम् अवश्रोतारम् अवदातारम् अवधातारम् अवानुचानमवशिष्यम् अवपश्चात्तात् अवपुरस्तात् अवोत्तरात्तात् अवदक्षिणात्तात् अवचोर्ध्वात्तात् अवाधरात्तात् सर्वतो मां पाहि पाहि समन्तात्.
So for these shorter lines, I'm not doing a lot of repeating because they are, shorter, somewhat simpler lines, and they also have a kind of pattern to them. But if anybody has a need to review any of them, just let me know. But otherwise, I won't spend too much time. So we can go on to the fourth one. Tvangmayas
त्वं वाङ्मयस् त्वं वाङ्मयस्
Tvanchinmayah
त्वञ्चिन्मयः त्वञ्चिन्मयः
Tvangmayastvanchinmayah
त्वं वाङ्मनस्त्वञ्चिन्मयः त्वं वाङ्मनस्त्वञ्चिन्मयः
Tvamanandamayas
त्वमानन्दमयस् त्वमानन्दमयस्
Tvam brahmamayah
त्वं ब्रह्ममयः त्वं ब्रह्ममयः
त्वमानन्दमयस्त्वं ब्रह्ममयः
त्वमानन्दमयत्वं ब्रह्ममयः त्वमानन्दमयत्वं ब्रह्ममयः
त्वं सच्चिदानन्दा
त्वं सच्चिदानन्दा त्वं सच्चिदानन्दा
द्वितीयोऽसि
द्वितीयोऽसि द्वितीयोऽसि
त्वं सच्चिदानन्दा द्वितीयोऽसि
त्वं सच्चिदानन्दा द्वितीयोऽसि त्वं सच्चिदानन्दा द्वितीयोऽसि
त्वं प्रत्यक्षम्
त्वं प्रत्यक्षम् त्वं प्रत्यक्षम्
ब्रह्मासि
ब्रह्मासि ब्रह्मासि
त्वं प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि
त्वं प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वं प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि.
So here in this next line, when in the class that I was watching with Guruji Srinivas ji, he mentioned that when Anuswara comes before the Sangyuktakshara Nya, like in Jnanamayo, it begins with Nya. He mentioned that you pronounce the Anuswara a little bit separately and not emphasize it, but you don't sort of run it together with the next sound. So it's more like Tvam Jnana, Tvam Jnana. Maybe a little bit of a gap. So if you watch that lesson, you'll see him sort of explaining that. Tvam Jnanamayo
त्वं ज्ञानमयो त्वं ज्ञानमयो
Vijnanamayasi
विज्ञानमयोऽसि विज्ञानमयोऽसि
Tvam Jnanamayo Vijnanamayasi
त्वं ज्ञानमयो विज्ञानमयोऽसि त्वं ज्ञानमयो विज्ञानमयोऽसि.
So I think I'm just going to do a little bit of review of this one because the lines are slightly longer. So I'll go back to the first one and just do it 2 times, and then Sriji can repeat 2 times. Tvam vangmayastvam chinmayah Tvam vangmayastvam chinmayah
वाङ्वाङ्मयत्वं चिन्मयः त्वं वाङ्मयत्वं चिन्मयः
त्वमानन्दमयस्त्वं ब्रह्ममयः त्वमानन्दमयस्त्वं ब्रह्ममयः
त्वमानन्दमयत्वं ब्रह्ममयः त्वमानन्दमयत्वं ब्रह्ममयः
त्वं सच्चिदानन्दाद्वितीयोऽसि त्वं
त्वं
सच्चिदानन्दाद्वितीयोऽसि
त्वं सच्चिदानन्दाद्वितीयोऽसि त्वं सच्चिदानन्दाद्वितीयोऽसि
त्वं प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वं प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि
त्वं प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वं प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि
त्वं ज्ञानमयो विज्ञानमयोऽसि त्वं ज्ञानमयो विज्ञानमयोऽसि
त्वं ज्ञानमयो विज्ञानमयोऽसि त्वं ज्ञानमयो विज्ञानमयोऽसि.
So this one has a really beautiful meaning as well. It's addressing Ganapati and saying you are of the nature of speech, vang or va. You are you are in the form of thoughts or consciousness. And then there's a lot of emphasis on you are the supreme Brahman. So not like just a god or just one form, but you are Brahman itself, the supreme divine reality, and which is of the nature of bliss. So you are that Sat Chit Ananda, the Pratyaksham, the visible Brahman, and you are divine knowledge and wisdom itself. So very beautiful. So I think with that, I won't go past the fourth. So now, just as a review, I'm just going to chant everything that we learned today, and then we can stop there for tonight. Om Bhadrang Karnebhih Shrunuyama Devah Bhatram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ लं नमस्ते गणपतये त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं तत्त्वमसि त्वमेव केवलं कर्तासि त्वमेव केवलं धर्तासि त्वमेव केवलं हर्तासि त्वमेव सर्वं खल्विदं ब्रह्मासि त्वं साक्षादात्मासि नित्यम् ऋतं वच्मि सत्यं वच्मि अवत्वं माम् अववक्तारम् अवश्रोतारम् अवदातारम् अवधातारम् अवानोजानमवशिष्यम् अवपश्चात्तात् अवपुरस्तात् अवोत्तरात्तात् अवदक्षिणात्तात् अवचोर्ध्वात्तात् अवधरात्तात् सर्वतो मां पाहि पाहि समन्तात् त्ववाङ्मयस्त्वञ्चिन्मयः त्वमानन्दमयस्त्वं ब्रह्ममयः त्वं सच्चिदानन्दात्तुतीयोऽसि त्वं प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वं ज्ञानमयो विज्ञानमयोऽसि. Okay, so we finished up until the fourth section of Ganapati Atharvashirsham. So we'll stop there and we'll continue next time, which will be not this Wednesday because that's when the groundbreaking is happening, but the following Saturday. So 1 week from today, we'll continue with the rest. So Sri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Thank you everyone for joining and we'll see you next time.